Today we're talking about postpartum weight loss. Hello and welcome to the Made the Flourish podcast or Flourishing Motherhood, depending on where you're watching this from. I am Meg Thompson. I have been hosting this podcast with Yasmina. She is recovering with a little baby girl right now, so she's not going to be on here with us. But today's topic has been requested for almost the entire year, and it's about weight loss postpartum. So it's a very tricky topic because there's so many elements when it comes to postpartum, and so many, we all have different bodies and we all respond differently to different tactics. So I just want to be really careful with letting you guys know that these are the things that worked for me. I've lost over 70 pounds in the last 11 months. My baby was born on January 25th, 2024. And I have really struggled with weight my whole life. And I know how deeply emotional it is. I just feel like it's sacred. It's sacred to talk about your body and your weight loss journey. And so I wanted to talk about how I did it and what worked for me, but it might not work for you. So just, you can listen along and kind of hear some of the tips and some of the tests that I did. And also kind of like what my diet looks like these days as a full-time breastfeeding mom. Meadow, my youngest, is starting to eat regular food, so we're breastfeeding a little bit less, but honestly, she nurses like she's a newborn baby. So I'm first gonna get kind of started with where I was last year at this time and where I am now. I have kept my journals of my weight. I gain weight like crazy when I'm pregnant. So my base weight, I would say, is about 170. I'm 5'9". But when I get pregnant, I literally gain between 50 and 75 pounds. And on January 25th, 2024, I was 248 pounds. So now I'm back down to 170, really 172. But that's a total of 76 pounds. Meadow, of course, weighed almost 9 pounds, and then I had placenta and blood and all that stuff. So it wasn't all just like body fat, it was fluids and everything else. But I did have to work really hard and I had to be intentional. I am not a perfectionist by nature. I do not do diets. I don't follow, a strict exercise regimen. I just kind of try to take every choice as that. I just take everything day by day and choice by choice and meal by meal. But I want to get kind of into a little bit of the nitty gritty. So my postpartum period was really good. My husband was home for a lot of it. And I really, the first 6 weeks of postpartum, all I want to do is eat nourishing foods and drink lots of warm teas. And that's exactly what I did. I had a ton of bone broth. I love making my own bone broth, but if I don't have that, there is a bone broth powder that Perfect Supplement makes, and I love Perfect Supplements. My code is Flourish10. They are very clean, very affordable. It's very good for you postpartum, has protein in it. It's great for your gut lining. It's great for your baby, great for the whole family really, but it's affordable. If you order 6 of them, you get 25% off plus my 10% off discount code, so that's 35% off. But I also drank a lot of just warm teas, and I didn't focus on how much I should be eating or shouldn't be eating. That's a big one when it comes to kind of how we are in a society today, is that I think that women are really scared that they're not going to eat enough to make breast milk. And that is not something that I've ever seen affect breast milk supply. Like I said, everyone's on their own journey. But I think that there is this fear that if I don't eat enough fats, if I don't eat enough protein, if I don't eat enough blank, then my milk's not going to come in or my milk's not going to be nourishing. That's just not the approach I take. I literally eat when I'm hungry, whether that's at 3 a.m. or 3 p.m., and I don't eat when I'm not hungry. So if I wake up in the morning and I don't have an appetite, my approach, like I said, this is just me, I don't eat when I'm not hungry. I'm not going to eat because I'm scared of something. I'm just going to follow my body. It's intuitive eating. And I know that honestly, that's going to rub a lot of people wrong because a lot of people think that you should eat right when you wake up. You should eat before you go to bed. You should, all these different things. I just don't take that approach. That honestly stresses me out. And I have done metabolic eating in the past where I ate first thing in the morning. I try to eat carbs at every meal. and it just like didn't work for me. I actually ended up gaining weight and just not feeling like I was very free in my food. So first 6 weeks, that's all I focus on. Nourishing foods when I'm hungry. I try to drink a ton of water. That's pretty much it. I think that like really investing in rest the first like month of your postpartum, just invest, like it sets you up for the future really well. After that 6 weeks is up and I'm not bleeding as much, that's when I start going on walks daily. I walk so much postpartum. I walk so much, and I wear my baby when I walk. So I'll try to show a few clips in here of the different baby carriers I have. Sakura Bloom is one that I love. It's made with silk. And then Wild Bird has a really great carrier. And I also use a hiking backpack. It's by Thule. And that hiking backpack is something that I wear all the time for big walks with Meadow, especially now that she's kind of getting bigger. I think that this summer I probably walked, the most I ever walked was maybe 3 miles. That's kind of my happy place with going on a walk, because it's about an hour long if I can, not have any kids with me. When my kids are with me, it's never that long and it's never that fast. They ride their bikes, they ride their scooters, I'm pushing a wagon, I'm wearing a baby on my back. But the cool thing is that when you wear your baby, not only is it great for them and their posture and their regulation, but it's really good for you because it is considered resistance training. And if you guys have ever looked into what they call rucking or, backpacking, it is like one of the best full body workouts you could do is wearing weight on your back and just simply walking. It strengthens your hips, your glutes, your quads, your calf, your core. I mean, there's so many things that you can benefit from. So literally like as simple as just wearing your baby and going for a walk, that is just becoming a daily part of my life. Aside from walking, what I do for working out is my goal now, like now that I'm a year postpartum and I'm like really trying to kind of set like new routines and new habits in my life, is I want to weight lift 3 times a week. I did not do that this last year. This last year, my goal was literally to weight lift 1 time a week. It's just all I could handle with adjusting to 4 kids and, homeschooling and all the things. Like once a week was good for me. And I want to share some resources with you on free things you could do to kind of move your body. Number 1 is this YouTube channel. I have to pull it up because I can never remember the name of it. Here it is. Move, Nourish, Love. This is what I started with. She has postpartum exercises that are friendly on here. Everything is free. It's quick. They just 20-minute workouts. And that's like kind of where I started. I was like, starting a new habit is like actually the hardest thing for me. It's not working out that's hard. It's like starting a new routine for yourself and just having like a 20-minute video that I could look up and do myself. She has body weight stuff on there. You don't need anything. You don't need a gym membership. I do have a gym membership and that helps me so much. I don't know if a lot of you guys have YMCA memberships or like YMCAs in your neighborhood, but my YMCA will watch my kids for 2 hours while I get a workout in. They call me if the baby needs to be nursed. And I know and I trust and I love the employees there. So my goal now is to work out and lift weights 3 times a week. But this last year, I tried to walk every time I could and at least 3 times a week for about 3 miles. And then, I lifted once a week. And now I'm hoping to start lifting 3 times a week to kind of rebuild my muscle. When it comes to the number on the scale, I always go back to, you should really focus on how you're feeling more than on what the number says, especially when you are a breastfeeding mom who's trying to lose weight. And I had so many questions about caloric deficit and breastfeeding and what happened in the mix of that. So I think I've already said it before in this video, but every woman is different, and I do go into a caloric deficit and it has never affected my breastfeeding or my milk. So my deficit, my goal was to eat around 1,800 calories a day. And I know that not everybody can do that because some people, when they breastfeed, they have this like ravenous hunger. I don't have a super extreme hunger response to breastfeeding. So going into a caloric deficit for me was not very difficult. I tried to eat around 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day, but I never truly tracked my calories until recently with getting an Ultra Human Ring. I can track macros on that, but in the beginning I didn't track anything. I literally just ate when I was hungry and I didn't eat when I wasn't hungry. But when I was hungry, my main focus was getting in as much protein as possible. So my main goal was to eat a gram of protein for every pound I weighed. So like if I wanted to weigh 170 pounds, which is what I weigh now, my goal would be to eat 170 grams of protein. That I almost never was able to do. If I met 100 grams of protein, I was happy. But the way that I did that was I always had cooked meat inside my fridge. Whether that was pre-packaged healthy sausages that I got from Costco, or pre-sliced cooked sirloin that I got from Costco, or just making like 4 pounds of ground beef in the beginning of the week and having a bowl of ground beef in my fridge, I always had some kind of protein. And so when I wake up in the morning and on the days that I fasted, because there are mornings where I do fast because I'm just not hungry when I wake up, and I start to feel hungry at like, I don't know, 11 or 12 o'clock in the afternoon, I would just reheat a pound of ground beef, maybe crack an egg over top and put some sauce on top of it, or slice up a cucumber and throw a cucumber in there, or grate a carrot in there. I always just had a big bowl of meat first thing. That protein first thing in the day will set you up for success so much more than almost anything else you do. And having it already just made in your fridge or in your freezer will help you out so much. So beginning of the weeks, you know, on a Sunday, if you're trying to lose weight right now, or if you're going to your postpartum period and you want, you know, to have something set up, make a like restock day. So for me, it's typically Sundays, and I would cook, like even at my mother-in-law's house a few days ago at Christmas, I had like 4 pounds of chicken breast, and I cooked 4 pounds of chicken breast without any plan. And I was like, at least I have some protein in that fridge. So when I'm feeling really hungry, whether that's in the middle of the night or first thing in the morning, I know that I have something that I can eat that is a whole food and it's really high in protein. And then, you know, throughout the week, I end up, cutting up some cucumber to put in, or some tzatziki sauce, or, you know, with barbecue sauce. And I ate that one day. Just make sure that you have that on you. That's going to help you out so much. Like I said before, I don't really count my macros as much, but I want to show you guys an app if you're looking to count macros that can be helpful. It's with my Ultra Human Ring. This ring, if you guys have heard of the Oura Ring, this is like the Oura Ring's competitor. I like Ultra Human better than I like the Oura Ring because it tracks sleep and recovery and ovulation, and it has pregnancy insights. It has a bunch of stuff on there. It also tracks your activity, but you don't have to pay a monthly subscription like you do with the Oura Ring. And it's just more affordable, and I think it has cooler different like niches on there. So one of their new updates was that you can set your alarm to go off in the proper part of your sleep cycle. So if you're in a deep sleep, your alarm won't go off, but when you kind of get into light sleep, it'll go off then. But they also just released, and I'm going to show you guys a little screen share, but they just released something that you can hit this plus button and it'll say add activity or food or breath work. If you click on food, you can add in what food you're eating, and it just brings up what your macros are. It's just so simple. That's a really great way to track your macros. But for me, I did not track macros at all. Basically, the first like 10 months, I didn't want to overcomplicate things. When you overcomplicate healthy eating, it will lead to decision fatigue and it will lead to overwhelm. So like I said, focus on whole foods, proteins, and fats. And I personally, I limit carbs, or I'm strategic with my carbs. I'm not a low carb girl anymore, but I will always prioritize eating meat and cottage cheese and Greek yogurt and fruit before I get into the more carby parts of my diet. So I make all my sourdough, and I try to have healthy carbs incorporated into my meals, but I don't just eat it willy-nilly. Like if I eat a big piece of sourdough with my morning or my afternoon meal, whatever I break my fast with, I'm probably not gonna have the ice cream that I made later for dinner that night. I pick and choose where I want to incorporate my carbs, and I just don't eat them all throughout the day. I'm very strategic. Protein is like as much as I want, I eat as much protein as I want. But carbs are a little bit different, and I do limit those. I go get my baby. A lot of people do not like intermittent fasting, and I understand why, because I think that if you have high levels of cortisol, if you have a lot of, if you have a lot of insulin resistance, fasting could not be the thing for you. For me personally, it is a very simple way for me to make sure that I'm not overdoing my calories, and it just helps me be a little bit less snacky. So for me, I don't intermittent fast every day, but I probably do it maybe like 4 times a week. And then there's days that I don't feel like it. If I wake up and I'm really hungry in the morning, I'm just gonna eat. Like I said, I'm not a perfectionist when it comes to this kind of thing. If I wake up in the morning, I don't have a strong appetite, I'm just gonna wait until I do. I typically stop eating at around maybe like 8 o'clock. I don't snack at night anymore. So I stop eating around 8 o'clock. And then I probably don't eat the next day until around 11. But if I'm having a really hungry day, or sometimes it doesn't work out, or sometimes I just don't care enough to intermittent fast. I hardly intermittent fast at all the whole Christmas break, and it was fine. But it's just, for me personally, it's just an easy way for me to know that I'm not going over in my macros. And it doesn't really affect me. I know a lot of other women who breastfeed who could never go more than 2 hours without eating. That's perfectly fine. Just, like I said, if you have to eat, around the clock, just make sure that you're eating high protein and you're not snacking on things that are really like, not just carby, but also like really high in fat. Because the thing with fat and carbs is, if you eat high protein and you eat high fat and you're eating carbs, then you're just having a lot of macros in general. For me, my carbs and my fat are like kind of like a seesaw. So I'm aiming for 100 to 150 grams of protein a day. That if I'm eating a lot of fat that day, if I'm having like eggs and I'm putting egg yolk in my coffee and I'm having raw milk and I'm having cheese, I'm naturally going to eat a lot less carbs that day, because I can't afford it in my macros. If I wake up in the morning and I'm having like sourdough and I have like a big bowl of fruit, and if I have like simple syrup in my coffee, I'm gonna go a lot lower with my fat. I'm not gonna be doing the cheeses and the creams and all of those things, because I just wanna stay within that window. Everyone has different macros. You're gonna have to figure out what your macros are on your own, but the fat and the carbs are kind of like a seesaw. I always do high protein, but I can't do high everything, or else I'll never end up losing weight, because I'll be in a caloric overload and not in a deficit. While we're on the topic of protein, I love Paleo Valley's protein powder. They have a bone broth protein powder. I didn't have it on me right now because we are out and I need to order more, but they have chocolate, vanilla, and regular flavored. Another way to get protein in, I'm gonna grab my little stack of supplements and I'll show you guys what I've been using to kind of support my weight loss journey. Protein powder, we already talked about. We talked about gelatin. This is collagen. I put collagen in almost everything. This is from Perfect Supplements. And this collagen has 10 grams of protein per scoop. I put that in a lot of my drinks, but I also will add that into my yogurt sometimes, or my smoothies, to add more in. This is colostrum. I love cowboy colostrum. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you probably see this everywhere. It's not super high in protein. There's just 2 grams in 1 scoop, but it is really great for your gut health, and your gut controls so much of your appetite. Your gut is so important. Like I can't stress that enough to you. If you don't have great absorption in your gut, you're not going to be able to absorb the healthy, nourishing foods that you're eating. So working on your lining of your gut is so important, and also taking a stomach acid, not a stomach acid, taking something that will increase your stomach acid helps. This is enzymes. I take enzymes or HCl to help with my absorption as well. You can get them from Amazon. Like Thorne has a really good one for your stomach acid. And then I have, this is from Smidge. These are oyster minerals. You can also get them from Earthly. I have them linked in my bio, but I'll try to link all of these. I'll try to link all these in my bio, but Smidge sells this oyster zinc supplement, and it's high in Iodine, B12, zinc, selenium, and copper. Copper is what you need in order to be able to bring your iron levels up. So don't sleep on this supplement. It's really important that you guys are getting in iodine, zinc, selenium, and your B vitamins. It's so important because if those are off and your minerals are off, they help regulate your hormones. So if your hormonal health is whack and you're not producing enough testosterone and your estrogen levels are really high and your cortisol is really high, your body is not going to be in a good state to be able to support weight loss, especially if your thyroid levels are off. So those are really good things to get tested on. If you really want to like take charge of your weight loss journey, get a full thyroid panel that checks all of those levels. And also, if you can afford it, the Dutch test is like a dried urine analysis test that will kind of test your cortisol levels and your stress hormones. But just getting like some blood work done and seeing if you are insulin resistant will also help, because if you are insulin resistant, you're probably not going to have an easy time losing weight postpartum, and you're not going to enjoy fasting. Fasting is going to be really hard for you if you're insulin resistant. But if you are insulin resistant, like going keto and going really low carb might be a better option for you. B vitamins, what else do I have over here? I don't have my beef liver, but you guys probably see me take beef liver all the time. That is something that I take without a doubt all the time. Pregnant, postpartum, nursing, I travel with it. I have beef liver pills everywhere. They're from Perfect Supplements. This is a coffee that also has more protein in it, everyday dose. I post about this a lot on my channel. This has half the amount of caffeine. It has collagen in it. There are 4 grams of protein in 1 tablespoon of this. So this plus collagen plus, colostrum, it just, every little bit helps. Trying to microdose these kind of things throughout the day is helpful. I also have these Shilajit honey sticks. These are great postpartum. Honey is full of minerals, kind of hits your sweet tooth, and it is full. There are 80 trace minerals in Shilajit. Shilajit is an incredible thing to take postpartum, especially to help your hormone health, to help your libido when you get to that part of postpartum where you actually want to start being intimate again. And it is great for bone density and your hair and your skin. Like, I just can't say it enough, like, your minerals matter. So beef liver, oyster, Shilajit, make sure that your stomach acid is up. So taking like an HCl or something like that, and colostrum, those kind of things to support your gut and to support your absorption are really going to help, because if your minerals are off and if you're like super depleted in your B vitamins, you're just going to have a harder time losing weight in general. So I've been building up my my supplement routine over the last 8 years. I didn't have it all figured out right away, but I definitely learned over time what was worth my money and my time and what wasn't. Okay, so I'm actually going to get into some of the details of my weight loss and the numbers. Okay, so I had my baby January 25th, and I was 248 pounds. 4 days later, this is 4 days, okay? So this is like, I haven't really lost much fat. This is just like from the fluids and all that stuff. I went from 248 to 227. So I lost 21 pounds in 4 days. So that obviously is just baby, right? Then by the time we get to April, so this is, about 4 months later, I was down to 205 pounds. I'm not going to do the math there on how much that is per week, but I would say that a goal for me of losing weight, like a pound a week, is really reasonable, but I wasn't fiercely going after that. I just, by intuitive eating and by fasting on certain days and kind of like carb cycling, I was able to lose about a pound a week. So that's April. I was 205 pounds. And then by August, I was 183 pounds. So that was another 4 months. I lost about another 20 pounds. And then the last time I weighed myself was in September. So from August to September, I only lost 3 pounds. And then now we're all the way in January and I'm down to about 170. So I lost another 10 pounds in the last 4 months. So yeah, I'm back down to my normal weight size. But I think that everyone's gonna have to figure out what they're comfortable with when it comes to weight loss. I kind of want to talk about carb cycling for a second because I know I just mentioned that and you might not be familiar with it. This is so hard to do with a baby. Carb cycling is basically choosing certain days to eat low carb and then incorporating more carbs on other days. People who are like bodybuilders can get like really into this. As always, I don't. So I might, if I eat like a hard cut, I make sure that I'm pretty much eating lower carbs most of the time. And I know that I'm always gonna have a day or two in the week where it's going to be higher carbs. And like I said, I pick and choose. I'm not like, okay, today's Wednesday, I'm gonna eat a bunch of carbs. It's more like, oh, today's Wednesday and my friend invited me over for dinner and she made fettuccine Alfredo and I'm going to have a bunch of carbs tonight. That means tomorrow I'm probably not gonna be eating as much carbs. That's how I carb cycle. Or let's say it's been like 3 days and I've had, pretty low carbs. I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna make homemade ice cream tonight. And like, it's gonna be one of those days where I have higher carbs. I really like the way that I am in my life. I ebb and flow and I go with the flow and I don't really have like strict routines. So I just make sure if there's a day where I eat really high carbs, there are a few days in the week where I eat lower carbs. I hope it's helpful for you guys. I know that it's not super relatable to everyone's life. If you want something more structured and you just Google carb cycling, they have like cycling things on Google for free. So many of the questions that you guys had online were about fear of like losing your breast milk supply and not being able to kind of like limit what you're eating because you're scared you're gonna lose your milk supply. Focus on your minerals and on your hormone health more than focusing on calories. All right, so how about we do a little recap because I just shared so many things kind of off the cuff. Let's do a recap of all the things that I've done to help support my body and help myself lose weight. I tried to walk 3 miles a week, at least 3 times a week. And if I couldn't, then it was fine. Just 1 mile was good enough for me. I solo parent a lot, and a lot of times I have all 4 of my kids with me. I just wanted to try to move at least 3 times a week. Sometimes it was 3 miles, sometimes it was just, 1 mile. I intermittent fast a few days a week, which means typically for me, I fast from around 8 a.m. to around 11 or 12 in the afternoon. I always tried to get to the gym at least once a week or do a home workout. And that was just what was able to work for me for the last year. Now I want to get in the gym at least 3 times a week. But once again, like, it doesn't need to be super hard. Once a week is better than not at all. I just wanted to try to kind of maintain my muscle mass. My goal was to eat between 100 and 150 grams of protein a day. That was a big one for me. Carbs, I cycled. I didn't avoid them, but I wasn't intentionally trying to eat carbs. And I really supported my minerals and my gut health, and my ultra human ring was very, very helpful. Being able to see my sleep and my recovery and start tracking my macros. This one was a huge one. I love my ultra human ring so much. And it also just like helped me exercise. There's like a lot of goals on there. I liked being able to track my steps. I liked that I could turn it, that it's like low EMF and I could turn the EMFs off. I liked that it kind of mapped out my walks. So this was a big one for me. I hope that this was helpful for you guys. Please be really compassionate when it comes to your weight loss journey. It is not an easy thing to do, and I really understand that. I was overweight almost my entire life. I actually stopped being overweight once I became a mom, but before then my weight was always up and down. It was more up than it was down. And just have a lot of compassion on yourself and try to not be super legalistic and black and white and rigid when it comes to weight loss, because I feel like that is what actually leads to binging and overwhelm and shame in this whole aspect. Just try to really give yourself a lot of grace. If you guys want a part 2 on this, or you want me to share more about specific topics or specific questions that you have, please comment below and let me know what you want to hear more of or what you want me to speak more to. Thank you so much. like and subscribe to our channel, Flourishing Motherhood, or the Made to Flourish podcast. And I'm looking forward to doing the next one with Yasmina and her new baby, Ava.